Alex just wanted a sandwich, nothing more, nothing less. He stood in the long food line of Station X92, holding his empty food tray. The station was crowded, full of noise, strange smells, and aliens speaking in weird languages. He was hungry, tired, and out of credits. But he had one last free meal token. That was the only good thing about this day. He looked down at the token and sighed, hoping for something warm and edible. Then it happened. A girl pushed in front of him like she owned the place. She was short, with silver skin and glowing purple eyes. Her hair looked like soft metal wires, moving slightly as if alive. She turned her head and grinned at him with sharp little teeth. "That's not meat, it's regret," she said, pointing at the food behind the counter. Then she burst out laughing like it was the funniest thing ever. Alex blinked, confused. What did that even mean? She took a food cube, wiggled her fingers like it was magic, and walked away. People behind Alex grumbled, but no one stopped her. Alex took his food slowly and found a corner seat. He tried not to think about her, but she showed up again. This time she was at the next table, staring right at him with a big smile. "You laughed, didn't you?" she said, tilting her head. Alex shook his head. "I didn't," she smirked. "You wanted to." "No, I really didn't," he replied, but now he was lying a little. She sat next to him without asking. "I'm Mira," she said, grabbing a spoonful of his soup. Alex looked at her, stunned. "Do you always eat strangers' food?" "Only when they look too tired to stop me," she said, and laughed again. He should have been angry, but he was too shocked to react. "Who even are you?" he asked. "I'm the galaxy's future comedy queen," she said proudly, then added, "or maybe just someone who got bored of being serious." The station lights flickered slightly, but nobody cared. Station X92 was old and falling apart. Just like Alex's luck, Mira was still there, telling strange one-liners to passing aliens. No one laughed, not even once. She looked disappointed each time, but she didn't stop. Alex tried to focus on eating, but she kept glancing at him, waiting for a reaction. Later, he saw her again in the recycling bay, pretending to give a speech to broken robot parts. "Ladies and gentlemen, and floating gas beings, what do you call a vacuum with emotions?" "Depressed." She giggled at her own joke, then noticed Alex and waved. He tried to walk away, but she followed him. "You're not from around here either, right?" she asked, walking beside him. "Nope," he replied shortly. She leaned close and whispered, "That's good. Locals have no sense of humor." He found her annoying, but also interesting. Her jokes were bad, but she wasn't trying to hurt anyone. She seemed lonely, even behind her laughter. That night, he went to his small bunk in the poor section of the station. Just when he started to rest, there was a knock. He opened the door and saw her holding the small, weird box. "I made a joke bomb," she said, grinning. "Don't worry, it only explodes with laughter." Alex raised his eyebrows. "That's not a thing." She shrugged. "Let's find out." She threw the box on the floor. It made a loud fart noise and sprayed confetti. Alex blinked, then actually laughed for the first time in days. It wasn't that funny, but something about her stupid grin made him laugh anyway. Mira froze, surprised, then smiled softer than before. "You're the first human who didn't throw me out," she said quietly. Alex sat down, still smiling. "Maybe I'm just too tired to care. Or maybe you're smart enough to see that laughter is survival," she said. Sitting on the floor, she pulled out 2 old snack bars and handed him one. He hesitated, then took it. As they ate in silence, Alex wondered why she really followed him. She was strange, sure, but also clever, too clever. Something in her eyes didn't match the silly jokes she told, and for some reason, he felt that this was only the beginning. The girl with the alien jokes wasn't just here to laugh. She had a reason, and whatever it was, Alex was already pulled into it, even if he didn't want to be. The next morning, Alex opened his eyes and saw her again, sitting on a chair in his small room like she lived there. She had taken his pillow, torn it in half, and was using it as shoes. Your pillow was too soft for my head but perfect for my feet, she said, grinning wide. Alex sat up slowly, rubbing his face. Mira, what are you doing in here? Waiting for you to wake up, of course, she said. I need help with something. Why me? He asked. Because you're the only one who laughed, she replied, like it explained everything. Alex didn't want to be involved in anything, especially not with someone like her. He came to this station to disappear, not to get pulled into weird games, but Mira wouldn't stop following him. She walked with him, talked to him, and annoyed him with joke after joke. Even when he tried to hide in the supply tunnels, she found him. She popped her head through a vent and shouted, "Knock knock. Go away," Alex muttered. "Wrong answer," she said, crawling in after him. That day, she did something strange. They were passing through a quiet corridor when she suddenly stopped and looked serious. She pulled out a small device, no bigger than a button, and pressed it to the wall. The device flashed green, then beeped softly. Alex stared. "What's that?" "A laugh detector," she said with a wink, but her eyes looked too sharp for jokes. He didn't believe her. That didn't feel like a prank. That felt like a scan later. She pulled another stunt, one that made Alex almost pass out. She rushed into the middle of the station's open market wearing a security jacket. She pulled out a fake blaster and yelled, "This is a surprise inspection." People screamed, dropped their food, and ducked behind tables. Alex stood frozen as she laughed and shouted, "Just kidding." The crowd was not amused. Security officers stormed in within seconds. Alex grabbed her and pulled her into an alley just in time. "Are you insane?" he hissed. Mira laughed so hard she could barely breathe. "That was my best one yet. They're going to arrest you," Alex snapped. "Let them," she said with a smirk. "They'll have to catch me first." Alex leaned against the wall, heart racing. This wasn't just humor. This was chaos, and yet she looked so calm, so pleased. He watched her closely. There was something underneath her joke, something cold and careful. She was testing systems, scanning places, seeing how people reacted. And she used her bad jokes as a mask. That night, she showed up again at his room, this time carrying 2 heavy crates. "I brought gifts," she said, dropping one crate with a loud thud. Inside were broken tech parts, some blinking, some sparking. "What is all this?" Alex asked. "Raw comedy," she said, tossing a small part at him. It buzzed in his hand, almost like it had life. "These pieces are all from locked areas," she whispered. "Places I wasn't supposed to be." Alex stared at her. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you're the only one who doesn't run when I speak," she said quietly. He realized then she wasn't following him because of his laugh. She was hiding behind him, using him as a shield. She had enemies, and she was up to something far bigger than bad jokes. Still, she sat cross-legged on the floor, holding up a piece of wire like it was a toy. "I'm building something," she said. "But I don't know if it's a joke or a weapon yet." Alex didn't know whether to be worried or curious, maybe both. In the quiet that followed, Mira finally looked serious. She leaned against the wall and stared at the ceiling. "They kicked me out, you know," she said. "My people, my group." "Why?" he asked. "Because I laughed when I wasn't supposed to," she said softly. "Because I felt things when they wanted machines." Alex didn't know what to say. She smiled again, but it was smaller this time. "Maybe I joke too much," she said. "Or maybe no one else knows how to smile." Alex sat down beside her and said nothing. He didn't understand her, but he wasn't afraid anymore. Not yet. And deep in the corner of the room, the little device she planted earlier began blinking again, watching, listening, waiting. The station was quieter than usual, but Myra's smile was wider than ever. She said she had the perfect joke to make everyone laugh. Alex wasn't sure if he wanted to be part of it, but curiosity pushed him to follow her. They sneaked into a control room filled with blinking lights and strange buttons. Mira danced around, touching panels and speaking words Alex didn't understand. Suddenly, alarms screamed through the station, red lights flashed and heavy doors slammed shut. Oops, Myra said, biting her lip. Guess my joke went a little too far. Alex's heart pounded as guards shouted over the loudspeakers. People ran, panic filled the air, and no one was laughing. Myra grabbed Alex's arm, pulling him toward the emergency exit. Sorry for the mess, she said with a grin. But her eyes were sharp and focused. They ducked into vents and narrow hallways hiding from patrols. Alex couldn't understand how she stayed so calm. She whispered strange jokes to keep his spirits up. But the danger was real. At one point, a guard passed so close that Alex held his breath. Myra winked and whispered, "If I get caught, tell them the punchline was worth it." In the shadows, Myra finally stopped and looked tired for the first time. She told Alex she used to be part of a special group, an elite force in her home world. They kicked me out because I smiled too much, she said, because I couldn't stop joking even when it was serious. Alex tried to imagine fighting with jokes, but it felt strange and impossible. She looked at him, her face softening. But maybe laughter is the strongest weapon. Alex wasn't sure if she meant it, but he wanted to believe her. As they moved, Alex noticed a small device blinking on her wrist. It pulsed with a faint light, like a heartbeat. "What's that?" he asked quietly. Myra tapped it and said, "It helps me stay alive." She didn't explain more, but Alex guessed it was more than just a joke gadget. Hours later, they found a small safe room with broken furniture and dusty windows. Myra finally let out a deep breath and leaned back. She pulled out a crumpled photo showing strange faces and places. "Those were my friends once," she said softly. "But I lost them all when I laughed." Alex saw pain in her eyes beneath the jokes. He realized that behind the funny girl was someone who had been hurt deeply, someone trying to hide pain with laughter. The station's emergency lights flickered. Again, outside, footsteps grew louder, and voices shouted orders. Myra stood up and smiled at Alex. "Ready for the next joke?" Alex nodded, unsure if it was hope or fear pushing him forward. They moved toward the unknown, not knowing if the next laugh would save them or break them. Myra led Alex through narrow halls few people dared to enter, her steps quick and quiet, like she knew every corner. At last, she stopped before a heavy metal door covered in strange symbols. She pulled out a small key-shaped device and slid it into a slot. The door hissed open slowly, revealing a dark room filled with glowing screens and blinking consoles. Alex stepped inside, eyes wide with surprise. "Welcome to my secret," Myra said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The walls were covered with data files about ships, weapons, and unknown planets. She pointed to one screen showing a map with red marks flashing like danger signs. "This is why I'm here," she whispered. "They plan to attack, and no one knows, except me." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. He wanted to ask more, but Myra held up a hand and said, "Wait." She tapped a few buttons, and a hologram flickered to life. It showed alien soldiers marching, ships firing, and worlds burning. "This war," she said. "It's worse than any joke I ever told." Alex saw fear and anger in her face, but she covered it with a joke. "Maybe if I laughed loud enough, they'll forget their plans," she said, but her voice cracked. Suddenly, the door behind them clicked. Alex spun around, heart racing. A shadow appeared in the doorway, silent but powerful. Myra's smile faded, and she whispered, "We're not alone." The figure stepped forward. It was a tall alien in dark armor, eyes cold as ice. "Hand over the data," the alien ordered, voice like thunder. Myra looked at Alex, her eyes pleading. He didn't know what to do, but his hands moved on their own. He grabbed a nearby console and smashed it, sparks flying. The room plunged into darkness except for the flickering hologram. Myra pulled him toward a hidden panel. "This way," she said, and pushed a button. A secret door slid open, and they slipped inside just as the armored alien shouted orders. In the narrow passage, Myra leaned close and said, "This secret is bigger than jokes or games." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of what they had uncovered. She looked at him with a new seriousness. I trusted you because you laughed, but now you see, it's not funny anymore, he swallowed hard, realizing this was just the beginning of something much darker. They moved through winding corridors, away from the danger. Alex glanced back at the glowing room, now sealed behind them. Mayra's laughter was gone, replaced by quiet determination, and in that moment, he understood sometimes the best jokes hide the darkest truths. The air was colder now, the sky darkening as shadows crept closer to the town. Jack and Ziva moved quickly through empty streets, the weight of silence pressing down on them. Their breaths came out in small clouds as they hurried toward the old radio tower on the hill. Ziva's glowing hands traced the air, sending small sparks of light to guide their way. Why here? Jack asked, glancing around nervously. This tower can send a signal, she said. A call for help, or maybe a trap. They climbed the rusted stairs, each step creaking under their weight. At the top, the view was wide and empty, but Jack could feel eyes watching from the dark. Ziva reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device, shaped like a cube and humming softly. She connected it to the old radio equipment, fingers moving quickly as if she knew exactly what to do. Jack watched in awe. You really know your way around this? She smiled faintly. There's more to me than jokes. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and distant lights blinked on the horizon. Jack's heart jumped. They're coming, Ziva nodded. And this signal might be the only chance we have. She pressed a button, and the radio crackled to life, sending a strange, pulsing sound into the night. Far away, hidden among the stars, something answered. A small group of ships turned toward the signal, engines humming with purpose. Back on the hill, Jack and Ziva heard a low rumble growing louder. Dark figures appeared at the edge of the town. Moving with deadly grace, Jack raised his voice. We have to hold them off. Ziva's eyes glowed bright. Together, she said, and power surged through her. The battle began under the cold moonlight, laughter mixing with shouts and the sound of energy weapons. Ziva unleashed waves of light that dazzled and confused the attackers. Jack fought with fierce determination, using whatever he could find. The town became a battleground, but the people had started to believe. They laughed and cheered even as danger closed in, their joy a weapon stronger than fear. But then, from the shadows, a new threat emerged, a creature larger and darker than any before, its eyes burning with cruel intelligence. Ziva stepped forward without hesitation, her voice ringing out. You will not win. Jack felt a strange hope rising. Stronger than before, no matter how dark the night, the light of laughter and friendship would never fade. The night felt heavier than before. Jack's muscles ached, but he refused to stop moving. Beside him, Ziva's light pulsed stronger with every breath. The dark creature loomed closer, its eyes filled with cold fire. Jack could hear its growl deep in his bones, but Ziva only smiled, a calm smile that made Jack wonder how she stayed so brave. She raised her hands high, and beams of colorful light shot out. The creature hissed, stumbling back but not defeated. Jack saw a flicker of doubt in its eyes. Your laughter is a shield, Ziva said softly, and it's stronger than you. Think. Jack took a deep breath and shouted a joke. Why did the alien bring a ladder to the bar? Because the drinks were out of this world, Ziva laughed, the sound pure and bright. The creature recoiled, weakened by the joy. Suddenly, from the sky, more ships appeared, their lights cutting through the dark clouds. Jack's heart leapt. Help had arrived. The new arrivals fired beams that surrounded the dark creature. It roared in anger, trying to break free. Ziva and Jack stood together, their hands joined, creating a circle of light that protected the town. The battle raged on, but the tide was turning. Jack felt a strange warmth spread through him. He realized that humor was more than just jokes or laughter. It was hope, strength, and unity. Ziva squeezed his hand. We did it, human, she said. Jack smiled back. No, we did it together. The dark creature let out one final roar before vanishing into the night. The ships around the town faded, leaving behind a peaceful sky. People slowly came out of their homes, eyes shining. With relief and wonder, Ziva looked around. Her smile returning, brighter than ever. Jack knew this was only the beginning of a new story, one filled with laughter, friendship, and endless possibilities. The sun rose slowly, casting golden light over the town. The battle was over, but the air still buzzed with new energy. Jack and Ziva stood on the hill, looking down at the peaceful streets below. People were smiling, talking, and laughing again. Ziva's glow was softer now, calm and warm like a gentle fire. Jack turned to her. "Do you think they'll come back?" Ziva shook her head. "Not if we keep laughing. Laughter is the shield that no enemy can break." Jack smiled, feeling hope fill his chest. "Maybe the universe needs more jokes than we thought." She laughed, a clear, joyful sound that echoed across the fields. "Maybe," she said, "and maybe human. You taught me that humor is not just in words. It's in friendship, courage, and never giving up." Jack looked at the sky, feeling a deep peace he hadn't known before. The stars twinkled like tiny fires, and somewhere out there, friends were listening. He knew this was just the start of many adventures. Together, they could face anything, because with laughter on their side, even the darkest nights could be bright. Ziva smiled at him one last time. "So human. What's the funniest thing you've ever heard?" Jack thought for a moment, then grinned. "Why don't aliens tell secrets on the moon?" She raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because it's full of space," he said, and they both laughed. The sound carried on the wind, a promise of hope, humor, and the unbreakable bond between worlds. The end.